Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. I am so happy to share some energy with you today. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and today I want to jump right into the video. Casper and Cheyenne. Pay attention to the symbolism. Let me explain. In all of our lives, we will have opportunities to hear from our angels about situations, job opportunities, friendship dynamics, relationship dynamics, family, interpersonal dynamics. And if you are paying attention, life is all about patterning. Everything repeats itself, and or there are clear symbols and signs that lead you into your next thing, or a better opportunity, or a better situation, or a better connection, or a better job, etc. You name it, right? And a lot of times what we will do is we will try to not look at that, but empath and earth angel, if you're here, that's one of your gifts, is to put together the pieces. Now, I was gifted with a mother who's a Gemini who spoke in puzzles and riddles, and oh my God, all of my life I hated it. But how it paid off for me in the last many years of my life as I grew my career, and I cut away a lot of toxic ties and people that didn't really mean me well. And it was because I paid attention to the signs. So something they might say would mean nothing to them and it had no significance, but my angels would connect it to something else and they would say, pay attention. Here's what we're trying to get you to do. They also taught me how to research into things so that I could understand deeply what they were trying to convey to me and what they wanted me to understand. So let's talk about specifically Casper and Cheyenne. Casper is a representation of a connection that I had in my life. We're going to call that person Casper. Another person in my life is Cheyenne. Now, what's interesting is these are two cities in or towns in Wyoming. And my angels love to give me very specific messages so that I can teach this. So actually, these two people actually came from Wyoming. They have no relation. They do not know each other that I'm aware of. And they both have never even met, to be honest. However, the first connection was Casper. Now, what comes to your mind when you think of Casper? Okay. What immediately comes to your mind? Casper, the friendly ghost. And that was very much exactly what I was dealing with. Someone who was posturing as friend, but who was ghosting on the other end in all ways. You get it, guys? Casper. It was funny that she came from this town and that I never put it together for many years. I didn't understand. I just thought it was part of the tapestry of our connection and just a little interesting story. But my angel said everything you needed to know about her, we gave you in that one allegory about her town. Casper. Something, a vapor, a mist, a professional vapor. How many of us have been friends with or dated people that are professional vapors? Like they seem like they might be in our lives, but they're really not showing up and they're not ever doing right. The reason that I say this is because I want you to know that there were so many things I loved about that Casper. I'm never going to lie. I was attracted to the energy that she seemed to be a good mother, that she seemed to be a good homemaker, that she seemed to be a good friend, that she seemed to love her parents, that she seemed to be a hard worker. There were so many illusions, just like Casper, a ghost would be. But it taught me what I was looking for in any friendship that would be healthy for me, even though it was very much not healthy for me, because after all, my loves, who can be friends with a ghost? None of us. Now, I'm going to keep talking about this, but I want you to transpose this into your own relationships. Maybe your Casper is called macaroni and cheese or whatever. I don't know, but you put it together. And I'm going to tell you how I put this together. So all of the attributes of any ghost were very much attributed to this person. In fact, right down to the way that she dealt with me and ghosted me inside of the relationship, inside of the connection. And I thought that she was all these wonderful things that she actually wasn't, and that she didn't have the capacity to be. She was posturing. It was a great show and an illusion. It was very illusory. So that was my Casper. But it was interesting because I realized that I had some odd connection with Wyoming, me and a first generation African American woman, well, West Indian American woman, first generation. My parents from the islands. What the heck did I have over in Wyoming? Why was that such a prominent place for me to be, or did I feel called to, or that this person mattered? And I thought, it's just a one off until I met Cheyenne. Let's talk about Cheyenne. When I dug into the etymology of the word, it means red talkers for the indigenous tribe that was there. Red is associated with grounding, it is associated with family, it is associated with the things that make us feel safe and our money, our financial stability. Cheyenne also, this person happens to love that color, red, and encouraged me in every way to love it for myself. Not the color itself, but the vibration. It's something that we talked about a lot. The first thing that she did when Cheyenne came into my life was teach me about my worth in her own way by paying me right. It was many, many years ago before I was the person that I eventually became regarding my readings and regarding the fact that I put respect on my own name for the work that I do. Cheyenne spoke it over me. She said, "This is you. I see this in you." And she did it by doing a simple gesture. She paid me my worth instead of the discounted thing that I was charging and all of the issues that I had around money and grounding and security. Because when some of us suffer various abuses, we don't have that in us naturally. Narcissistic abuse, for those of you that are wondering, you guys know when you have parents that way, it destabilizes your sense of stability, which also trickles over into your sense of worthiness, what you're worth, the jobs that you take, the money that you earn. You guys get it? Cheyenne came into my life and she taught me this isn't right. We don't work for free, and you are so damn good that working for free will never again be. I didn't believe her, but she wasn't wrong. Cheyenne also deals with it speaks about dogs. It's so funny. The Cheyenne in my life, that connection is like the greatest animal parent of all time that I've ever seen. She's the greatest dog mama, and she has a pack and a tribe that follow her and are always by her side of some of the most beautiful dogs, my favorite of which is called Loki. I gotta say, Loki's my baby. Now, what I will say here about Cheyenne is what do we associate dogs with? Loyalty, yeah? Man's best friend. Cheyenne became my best friend, not because her name was Cheyenne, and that's not her name. Neither of these are their names, but I had to see the similarities. But she also, while it was not her name, she grew up or built her first house actually on a plane, like little house in the prairie. For some reason, I've always been energetically attracted to friendships that were wholesome and people that were like truly good salt of the earth people. And when we spoke later in life, I didn't know this until recently, but her first house she actually built on a prairie. And this was all of the stuff that I had projected onto Casper. You get it? So I met Casper many, many, many years before Cheyenne ever existed, but I had always imagined that she was this really wholesome human. And that was my fault, right, guys? Because people give us lots of signs of who they are and they show us who they are. And as Maya Angelou says, we should believe them. I don't know why I thought she was that. It's kind of laughable now when I look back. However, everything that I thought she was, Cheyenne actually is. Actually a hard worker, actually has a fantastic work ethic, actually has integrity and morals, actually cares about her family, actually hustles her ass off, actually is a good human, a homemaker, a fabulous cook, a fantastic mama, and a solid friend. That color red, earth tones, that red clay, if you think about it, was very much associated with Casper because at the time she lived in Alabama where red clay is very famous and known. It's a thing that's talked about. But I associate this earthy energy truly with Cheyenne because there's a consistency in her behavior. There is a decency and a dignity, a quiet dignity. She shows up time and time again. That's the difference between Casper and Cheyenne. In your life, you'll have an opportunity to see where maybe you were wanting a thing and projecting it to be a certain way, but really you get something else that is actually going to brighten your day and actually stick and stay and be around. Something that is solid that can really hold you down, not just a vapor like Casper. Now, here's the other tie in Cheyenne is also a town in Wyoming. God is weird, right? God is funny. There are many mysteries that I will never understand the full of. Why did God see fit for me to have two significant connections with people from the same place? One of them that was deleterious and duplicitous and terrible in all of their ways, and one that has been solid and honest and fair, meaning there is no pretense and there is no rare air, meaning pedestal energy. There is just this person who is solid as they can be. Red Talkers, that was the name that I found when I researched, because my angels guided me. And that's the thing that can happen when you start listening to your angel numbers and whatever, that conversation expands into other ways, cardinals and various things that will come in to help you understand what you need to know and which way you need to go. So my angels said research one day, this was maybe about a year ago, they said research Casper and Cheyenne. And I did. And I realized, oh my gosh, it was in front of me the whole time. The reason that they sent me Cheyenne was because they didn't want me to be sad anymore, and they wanted me to move into a place that I had manifested. But they said, we want you to understand the symbology of these two people. Forget their actual names, look at their energy. Like I said, Cheyenne turned out to be everything I thought Casper was, but instead Cheyenne actually could be, because she had maturity, because she had done her own spiritual work, because she had had her knockdown and bruises and understanding her self-worth, because she had battled brain tumors and cancer and God knows what else, because she had not just put her spirituality on the shelf. She had done her work. I'm wickedly impressed because I love anybody that does their work. The teacher in me does love that. And I, being a good student at times, love someone who goes the extra mile. That is Cheyenne. Loyalty, dog, red talkers, the energy of groundedness, the energy of doing your best, the energy of showing up, a Capricorn energy there, very much associated with earth sign, that red clay, except it was transposed in the right way through Cheyenne. Why did God want me to have two significant connections that came from the same state that I will never maybe even step in, but they wanted me to know that this was the new direction to go. Everything my angel showed me that I thought about Casper, Cheyenne actually was. She was it effortlessly. She wasn't trying to put on airs. She loved her family and her husband. She actually cared. She loved her kiddo and she loved her life. She raised people and she did it right. Casper was a street pharmacist. I'll just say it. Let's just call a thing a thing. She prided herself on that, and she prided herself on letting that be her kid. Cheyenne actually raised a pharmacist, meaning doctor. Her daughter is actually a doctor. Isn't the similarities funny? And I'm only sharing this to you with you so that you can see that there will always be these incredible synchronicities. Casper doled out medication for all of the life that I knew her. She loved medication and being inebriated, and I joined her in some of those trips. So don't think that I'm some innocent. I'm not. But what I will say is I always thought it peculiar. And towards the end of our connection, as it was fraying and burning out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not what I'm about. But it was what Casper was about. Shady things that go bump in the night, living a life that was never quite right, never being on the up and up, being crooked and loving and sucking it up. That was Casper. Very ghost-like energy. Cheyenne is upright. Cheyenne is about what it's supposed to be. And even though she was in the similar situation, single mothers for a great while, she did raise this pharmacist child that turned out to be an asset to society. Now, here's the thing about Casper's kid. They're an asset to society too, but it's because they were raised in the way I always say, sometimes people are raised by wolves and then they turn out great. And Casper wasn't a wolf. There were really redeeming qualities about Casper at times. But what I know is that her progeny will be fine, but it's because of his own will. He is powerfully earth sign and he will turn out just fine. He willed himself out of poverty, out of Casper's poverty thinking, out of all of that to be the best person that he could be. I am ridiculously proud because it wasn't due to any, especially in the last couple years of Casper's energy, because Casper was true to her hometown's name. She even ghosted her son. Even he got to feel that pain. And he'll let her know about it when he's more mature. It is the truth. She ghosted it for what was not pure, for what was more comfortable, for what was dark and illusory. Isn't that funny? God allowed her to be all the things she wanted to be, to have all of the secrets she wanted to have, and to be quiet with them. But in the end, it would be her bad. That's the difference between Casper and Cheyenne. Why do you think, guys, just critical thinking here, that God gave me such a specific sign and such similarities? I really always talk about it. I feel like I had the Wicked Witch of the whatever, of the Wicked Witch of Casper, and then Glenda, the Good Witch of the North, right? I feel like I really got that duality in these connections. I thought, why, God? What's the significance of Wyoming? Am I supposed to be there? Is there a special ley line that I need to go lay my crystals and cards on and pray over? What is the significance? Did I have a past life there? I don't know the answer to that completely. But what I did pay attention was the symbology of the two towns that these women were from and how they showed up in my life, and everything felt right when I looked at it honestly. They said, what else would you expect from a Casper but for her to give you what she gave? She is a vapor herself and completely unable to be anything other than a trickster. That's what a Casper is, right? Appearing friendly, but not really having much more than that to be. And giving, and this is the big tell that I got with that, the same energy to everyone, including her kid, to her parents, to her family, ghosting everyone when it was time to take responsibility. That will not be the experience I've had with Cheyenne. Never could be. She is accountable down to her toenails in the best way, and has held me accountable and has helped me to see things so clearly and not been overbearing with it either. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Two different experiences, but my angels wanted me to see the similarities, and they said, we made it clear to you. And, oh, hold on one second. I'm getting a call. I have to call you back. We made it clear to you because we wanted you to know the truth that we are working in everything. When Casper was present, we were working in that. We were teaching you gifts that would strengthen your back so that you could carry your spirituality. When Cheyenne was present, we were working with gifts so that you could strengthen your spirituality. Now, here's the difference, too. I will talk to you about the symbology of this. I fed Casper all the time. Can you imagine feeding an empty ghost, a hungry ghost, as they say? I fed Casper all the time, energetically, actually, spiritually, all of the ways. And I always felt like, who would feed me? I've never had a friend that actually was an educator to me, or in quick, simple words of wisdom could blow open my mind. I made Casper so magical. I put all of that onto her, like she was doing all of that when I was doing my own work. She was never capable of that heavy lifting. She was, in fact, quite lazy. I imagine it's hard to lift things when you're a ghost. However, with Cheyenne, is different. She does the most. And you know who used to do the most? I did. And in a good way, though, meaning she shows up for me in ways that I couldn't even imagine. I mean, physically shows up, actually shows up, energetically shows up in any capacity and way that I could need her. And she means it. She creates time and carves it out. Casper created ways to get out of whatever we had created that was solid. That was what my angels wanted me to do. They said the red talker has in her mouth the truth. The dog is also associated with Shine. Like I said, there is a loyalty that she will have to you. Everything that you wanted, the innocence, the kindness, the homemaker, the life builder, the go-getter, the entrepreneur, the CEO, all the things that you looked up to and thought, that's what I want in my life. Cheyenne is that. She got it right, but she got it right without me helping her. She was that before I ever met her. And we've only enhanced our connection as empaths will do. We get to volley back and forth our gifts back and forth in the best way, and we both grow each other. But sometimes she has a thing to say to me, and I'm like, thank you. It's so nice to be fed into energetically and happily, as opposed to Casper. Now, Casper was a powerful lesson. I cannot throw that away. I needed to have Casper in order to understand my fate and to learn myself thoroughly. I needed to know what I did not want. We create from contrast. My relationship with Casper helped me understand what I never want to return to, what was not satisfactory, and how empty I felt. But they said, of course you felt empty. Casper was but a vapor. Casper is a ghost. We wanted you to feel that so you would know that there was so much more that you could have, and that there was so much more nourishment that you needed to grow. In your life, empath, if you're still listening, there will be symbologies. Maybe you can compare your relationships. They say we shouldn't, but we all do. It's the natural human thing. It is true. I want you to look at maybe where there were similarities between someone that was a lesson for you and someone who is a blessing for you, because Casper was a lesson and Cheyenne has been the most incredible blessing. Also, be attached to nothing. This year, if you listen to my last video, y'all, I was totally pulled out of emotion and I was just a hot mess. It's a blubber fest, and maybe I would suggest you fast forward through it if you don't like to hear nose blowing sounds and crying sounds, because even when I listen back, I'm like, oh God. However, this year I realized that I can be attached to nothing. While Cheyenne is a beautiful bright light in my life, she could be here for just a season. And I'm okay with that. I have zero attachment that she's got to be my bestie for the rest of my life. She has been a beautiful light. She has stood by my side. She has been kind to my family. She's been kind to me. She has been kind and involved in my family in a way that I would never allow anybody else to be. Because instinctively, I never trusted Casper. Just like she didn't trust me, but moreover, she didn't trust she. There are some people in our life that treat us badly, and it's because they have no self-efficacy. They have no self-integrity. They don't trust themselves. They know what a liar they are, so they expect you, that liar, to be as well. That was not who I was. In any case, I say this to say, if you do get a Cheyenne after a Casper's come your way, you don't want to hold on tight and be a stage 5 clinger. You want to give them their space and love them and know that they are a blessing and God sent them, but that they may not be in your life forever. Life is funny and short. We don't know what's going to happen from day to day, and just enjoy the energy if you get a Cheyenne that comes your way. I edify and bless it, and I'm thankful for it every day. I was the same way with Casper, but that same energy and kind she did not repay. It was false. She said things to me while she did betray. That was her truth. And it was all proven when our relationship went up in vapors and smoke. Poof. Casper. Who is your Casper? And who, my loves, is your Cheyenne? Here's what I realized about Casper and Cheyenne, too. There was a lesson of boredom. Casper was bored, and so, like a mischievous little friendly ghost, she created chaos and drama. She did the most. She couldn't take into a stride and account that she had something or someone in her life that would hold her down, and she wanted to go play with the lower dominions and demons of the world to understand. Maybe she needed to go on that journey to figure out her worth. I don't know. But I know she created conflict and chaos and self-sabotage. Caspers in your life are self-sabotagers, okay? They do it all the time, and then they act like they don't know what happened. But they create chaos all of the time. Casper, towards the end, was in a very covert narcissistic way and decided to discard me to my face and tell me that whomever else was in her life was the best she ever had regarding friendship, the best friend she ever had, while I had given my blood, sweat, and tears. But Casper didn't care because none of that mattered. Casper was never there, and also she was bored. This steady relationship, kindness on a consistent day-to-day, that's boring. I want to play. And play she did. Caspers will always want to play. Cheyenne plays, but not in that way. Cheyenne's version of play is a vacation on a sunny day with a great cocktail and maybe a cabana boy or two, and maybe a cabana girl from me, because Cheyenne accepts me in all of the ways that I can be. And there is no judgment. Man, find you a Cheyenne. What I will tell you about that is that that means that there's a steady connection. What I'm learning in my connection with Cheyenne is that it's lovely to have someone show up for you from day to day. It's what I wanted from Casper anyway, and it's what I gave her, but it's not what was ever reciprocated. I could never depend on her emotionally, energetically, or actually to show up, whether it was a vacation that was planned or a phone call. She would do whatever her little Casper heart led her to. And that was always unpredictable. Cheyenne, and in a Cheyenne connection, I feel safe because this person shows up and does the heavy lifting day to day. And that means that I have made a commitment to show up and reciprocate that energy and to not be petulant and get bored like I saw Casper do with me. I know what a blessing it is to have a Cheyenne, because my friends and my empaths, the Cheyenne I have been, I know what it costs to do that. I see the effort that Cheyenne puts into my life, and I know that it's not an easy plight. It comes with concerted effort and energy. But that's why I will give Cheyenne the best of me. instead of being petulant and bored. Four of Cups, if you read tarot, absolutely not wanting to see the gift in front of me. Casper could never see anything. Maybe Casper needs eyeglasses to go up for optometrist. I don't know. Casper could never see that. She valued other things that were absolute shit. And that's okay. That was her journey. I now fully get it. But it was also part of my soul's journey to encounter a beautiful Cheyenne. Someone who saw me regarding my race. That was a big deal. Casper ghosting, couldn't see that in her face while she was around people that had issues about race, but she could not value me in that way. Cheyenne did it effortlessly. She wasn't pandering to me. I never talked to her about it. She organically brought up things to me. In fact, recently, when the Ahmaud Arbery case, when they found those three men guilty, I heard the news from her, not from my Twitter, not from a ticker tape, not from something that scrolled across my computer screen. It was from Cheyenne reaching out to me. Cheyenne is Caucasian, just in case you need context. And she said, finally, justice has been served. Casper would never. Okay? She'd like to think that she would, but she would never, because she was aligned with people that meant no good and thought no good of people that were in my body and color that looked like me. Find you a Cheyenne that loves you authentically. I can talk to Cheyenne about all my weird stuff. I can have heavy emotional days. I can also talk about esoteric things, and we can float away into the galaxies. That is the energy I needed in my life. And for you, maybe it will be something else that you need that fits you right. But that's what I wanted. I didn't want to force it down anybody's throat. I didn't want to make them see or understand the things that I know, especially for them to laugh at me behind my back and diminish it and then take it and then try to sell it like crack because they could not generate their own creativity. Cheyenne is incredibly gifted. She is exactly what I thought Casper would be regarding mediumship. She's an actual medium. I'm so proud of her in a way that I am not. Casper also loved lower vibrations. She loved every single ghost show because she had a gifting too, but she corrupted it and now it's been taken. Not in any pure way can she ever channel again. She can do crazy things that are caused from inebriation, but it will never be authentic. And then there was the competition. Let's talk about that. In your life, you may have people that you try to help ascend that will find you as a threat and secretly begin to compete. And you may not even know. That was my experience with Casper. I didn't realize that she saw me as a threat or that I just love that girl. I didn't get it. I didn't understand the Casper situation, but she had all this animosity and how dare you feel this way about me and not say yes and not let me get my way. She was petulant and coddled from her initiating day. Casper was so incredibly blessed and lucky, but she never saw it that way. But that's not Cheyenne. Cheyenne takes nothing for granted. And she got it out of the dirt and the mud, just like me and Casper did. But she's accelerated in a way that is impressive. The thing to understand about that is if you are helping someone in that way, empath, we will often deplete ourselves. And then someone will say, I never asked for that. I never wanted that. I never asked you to give me that. And it is very ungrateful. Be grateful when you have a Cheyenne come into your life that's feeding you right. I promise you, if you're listening to this message today, you will have a Cheyenne in your life. If you're like, no, I can't see it, and my bestie betrayed me, or my ex left me, or my whatever, I am speaking a word over you, a rhema word, if you will, that is telling you that that was something you had to go through in order. You had to take the wrong pill in order to take the right one, right? Red and blue, right? You needed to open your eyes to see that maybe something wasn't right for you, but there will be alignments and synchronicities that will help guide you and help you know that what you're seeing is true. That is Casper and Cheyenne. I want you to start finding the symbolism in your life that may have led you away from a toxic connection into one that was right, or from a toxic job into one that was high paying, or from one course of education to one that suited you better, no matter what anybody else had to say. Let's talk about what other people have to say. Casper was very concerned and consumed with all of the conversation that came her way. My angels let me know about some of it, but protected me from a lot of it because they knew it would hurt my feelings. It wasn't until after I had disconnected and was obedient that they let me know like just how much shit talking was going on with Casper and her circle of people that had no idea who I was. And we'll leave it at that. Casper took in a lot of things because she didn't have a bone in her back. I'm talking about a spinal cord. I'm talking about the ability to stand up for herself and not pander and not play people against each other. Casper loves playing games. Don't Caspers love playing games, y'all? With Cheyenne, there is nothing that could waver or shake her. And I speak of that not to jinx it, but to say it's the truth. If she, you know, the song that comes to my mind is I Only Have Eyes for You. And not in a romantic way, but the Cheyenne in your life, it will never be shaken by what other people have to say. No one in Cheyenne's life could say a thing about me that she wouldn't come to me and talk to me about, and we couldn't work it out diligently. That was not a luxury afforded to me with Casper, because Casper moves shady. Caspers move shady, empaths. They move shady, and they take in all the opinions, and they let, if it's Five of Wands, if you read tarot, they let everybody else get into their ear and ask for advice instead of coming to you and dealing with it right. It's okay. There's no redos. I don't want to go back. It happened exactly why it did, and I am so glad. But what I will tell you is, a friend that stands up for you, that is not going to shun you because they're embarrassed of you, is what you want. And you'll find that in a Cheyenne. Casper will ghost you the second things don't go as planned, or they think someone else is judging you, or someone else likes you more. That was another shady thing that I had to deal with Casper. If people thought that I was talented, she wanted to show that she was more, but she never originated or put any work into it. Cheyenne, I've gotten more business from Cheyenne than I can think of from any human that I've ever had in my life. Cheyenne has blown open so many things in a beautiful way by sending people to me and by being proud of me and not being in competition and not being jealous. We've had open conversations, as I recommend that you do, empath, and you can when you have an authentic connection, where we talk about our giftings and how we edify and help each other. But she always puts herself in this position where I'm like, no, we are equal in that we are both gifted and talented regarding our spirituality. It is not a better or lesser or more than me, but that's how it was with the Casper, and that's how any Casper will be. They will always want to subjugate you. There is no subjugation with Cheyenne. It is straightforward, it is as planned, and it is forthright and honest. There is no conversation we can't have. And with a Casper, the biggest takeaway is communication will never be in play. It will always be assumptions and mind games and subterfuge, because what do Caspers love to do? They love to go bump in the night. So that if they can keep you up like they are at night with anxiety and not feeling right and wondering about their intentions and motives, they will Casper away. They will fritter away all of your days and waste your time. Do not give your energy to a Casper. Now, sometimes we have to have a Casper in our life to teach us about the Cheyennes that are right. And I understand the lesson there. But it does not escape me the similarities of Wyoming, of the cities, of the energies that come with it. I learned so much. And like I said, be attached to nothing. If I get just a season with Cheyenne, it's been the greatest blessing of my life. Just like my season with Casper was the greatest lesson of my life. I am grateful for both, but for different reasons, and I will only engage with one. Because Casper, oh my sweet Casper, I'm not into that kind of fun. I love you guys. I'm going to check out your messages here, and let's see. Nolan, hi Monette, I was just listening to your previous upload. Oh, I cried along. God bless you, Nolan. I cry too when I listen back. See, when I'm channeling, Nolan, I don't even realize what I'm saying. When my angels ask me to do that kind of channeling, I just get on there and I start talking, and that broke me open because I had to release. You can almost hear at one point where I'm talking about forgiving narcissists and people that abuse you. I actually had a breakthrough of release of animosity, and I forgave all of them. Every narcissist, every abuser, every person that took advantage of me in ways that are unspeakable. I forgave them right at that moment. You can hear it. I couldn't even breathe. And when I listened back, my angel said, "You are free." Because I got it. They are loved too. That was the hardest part for me. Even this Casper that I just talked about is loved too. But it doesn't mean that they deserve to be in your precious energy. Thank you for sharing energy with me, Nolan. And I hope that there was release in there for you. Let's see what else we have here. Tanisha, hey, good to catch you live, sweetie. Nolan says, I like to watch your videos more than once. Don't want to miss anything. You're so sweet, Nolan. I don't know when I will find a Cheyenne. Will it ever happen? I hope so. Yes, they are loved too, Nolan. I promise you directly that you will find a Cheyenne. especially because you were here and asking. Cheyenne will appear in your life. And actually, I'm hearing within the next 2 to 3 years. And I know that seems like a long time, but I want to give that to you because sometimes we need something to look forward to. Sometimes we need a thing to look forward to. You have something coming, and I'm not blowing smoke. I'm telling you that I know what I know. And for you, sweet Nolan, you will have a Cheyenne appear because you have done your work. That good, healthy relationship is near, and I speak blessings over you. And so it is. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. So good to share energy with you. I love you, Nolan. That's what your angels want you to know. They love you, Nolan. I love you, Nolan. You are loved, Nolan. You radiate the vibration of love, Nolan. And the energy will be reciprocated in human form of someone who can edify and lift you and support you in ways that you didn't even think could be true. Some people are a dream come true, and you deserve that dream. It will be your reality. I speak it over you. Soon you will see. Come back and join me next time, guys, and we will continue to evolve together.